Welcome back, everyone, to the We Are West Ham podcast. I'm Will Pugh, of course, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined for this opposition view ahead of Saturday's London Stadium clash with Ipswich Town. It's Rich from the Suffolk Crunch podcast. Rich, great to have you on. It's lovely. I love doing it on the podcast, on the opposition views, to speak to fans of the promoted teams, particularly those of teams who haven't been in the Premier League for so long. I'm an Essex boy, so I've got a very soft spot for Ipswich, just down the road from where I grew up. How are you feeling? How are you enjoying the Premier League?
Cheers for having me on, Will. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously 22 years away. I think I remember going to Upton Park the last time we played in the Premier League. What was that, 2002? I think you beat us. I think that was 3-1 that day.
Yeah.
And obviously we haven't been back for a long time. But, we're enjoying it so far, 6 games in. I know we haven't won, but we're 4 unbeaten. And obviously Sunday we drew with Villa. So, so far so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say sort of like king of the draw. But the result against Villa is superb. We couldn't beat them at home. We lost to them on the opening day. Good result rescued away at Southampton, who haven't been great, but a great goal in the last minute. Do you feel like it's coming?
Yeah, because obviously, look, the start we had, Liverpool and Man City, I don't think you couldn't have got harder than that. So I think, look, we lost them 2 games, but that was expected. You know, we didn't really expect anything out of them, and maybe you can use them as like a bit of an extended pre-season, possibly.
Yeah.
But then obviously since then we drew with Fulham, good draw away at the Amex against Brighton, 0-0. Southampton.
Big time.
Southampton was probably the only game. You're going into that game thinking, because we're both going to be down there, I think, and you're probably looking at that. Maybe you can win it, and obviously Sam Morsey scored 5 minutes into added time, which was a better result
screamer,
for us.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of a deflection, Will. It all helps. They called us Deflection FC last season in the Championship because we did have quite a few deflected goals. But if you don't sit, you don't score. So
that's true.
That
true.
obviously turned out to be a better point for us than it did the Saints, because when you're playing them teams around you, especially away from home, you don't really want to lose, do you? So if you take a point, and that's good, and then we play them later in the season. But then obviously Sunday, Villa, I didn't expect a lot. I was more about, let's put in a positive performance, and we did, and we were really good, and we created a lot of chances. Maybe Villa had an eye on tomorrow night against Bayern. They could have done, but I think that maybe taken a little bit away from us, I think, because I thought we were excellent, and we could have won the game in the end. Second half, we had a lot of corners, there was a lot of pressure, but we come out of that game, and I think if you're watching Town and you haven't seen us before and you're watching that on the Sunday on Sky, I think you'd be quite impressed with us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially against Aston Villa, who've, they've sort of continued their great form into this season. Really impressive side Unai Emery's built there. Fulham as well. I think that's a properly underrated point. I mean, going away to Brighton and getting one's obviously great, but even at home to Fulham, we've played Fulham already, albeit away. And I think they're one of those teams. West Ham literally needed a last-minute Danny Ings equaliser to rescue a point there. Fulham were clearly the better team. So I think from the games you've had so far, realistically, like you say, Ipswich you'd have liked to have won, but as it's away, you can sort of maybe stomach it, provided you do the business at home. But I think everyone been sort of quietly surprised with what Ipswich have been doing, and it certainly feels like your first win isn't too far away. I mean, we've got West Ham away. We're not in very good form at all. Home to Everton, away to Brentford, home to Leicester. That is a winnable run of games. Surely your first victory comes from that little bunch.
Yeah, if you look at the 4 there, but in the Premier League, I don't think you can underestimate anybody, because they're all good teams. And like I say, when we played Fulham, that was the first game after Liverpool and City, and that was a game you're playing at home. You're probably your home form's probably, if we're going to stay in the division, that's where we're obviously going to pick up a lot of points. And we played Fulham and we played really well in that game, and come away a point. You can't really be disappointed, I don't think, because every point that you earn, I think, is going to be really hardly earned in this division. And then, like you say, we've got 4 games now, and they are winnable, but we could lose all 4 of them. That is how the Premier League is. That is the nature of the beast, isn't it? When all of these teams, look, we've come from League One and we've come from the Championship. But now you're coming into the big leagues, and every team have got world-class players. One thing I've noticed, Will, is the size of players, the physicality. They're all big. They're big guys, but they're physical. They're just ripped, and you think, blimey. But yeah, look, West Ham away, Everton at home. Everton at home, we were going to be down there. Brentford, go to Brentford. Obviously, you drew with them on Saturday, and then Leicester.
And they're injury ravaged, and they only come 16th last season with Ivan Toney, so they're there to be had this season.
And I look at a team like Brentford. I remember them back in like early 2000s. We played them away in the League Cup, and they were in League Two, and when we were in the
Griffin
Premier League.
Park,
And it shows out. Yeah, it shows how football can change around. And Thomas Frank there, he's done a fantastic job. But
brilliant.
Yeah, there's games there that we can win, and we do need to get that win sooner or later, because the narrative becomes, oh, Ipswich haven't won. Like, we're 4 unbeaten, but people will still say, won't they? Yeah, but you've played 6 games, but we haven't won a game. So we do need to get that monkey off our back as soon as we can, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, I hope it's not Saturday, obviously. You're only 1 point behind West Ham at the moment, 1 goal difference behind. It's just, as you say, that win that's eluding you, but 4 draws to our 2. We obviously got the win away at Palace. But look, Rich, talk to me about Liam Delap, because West Ham are incapable, and it seems to have proved again this season, of signing a striker who can stay fit and perform on a regular basis. Now Michail Antonio is about 4 years past his sell-by date. But Liam Delap, I'm extremely jealous of him already. He looks so full of energy, full of running, really skillful and powerful. If you're going to do anything and stay up this season, or do anything more than that, he's going to be key to it, surely.
Yeah, obviously we see him last season. He's obviously on loan at Hull. I think he only got 8 goals there in 31 games, Will, but they played him on the right-hand side a lot of the times. He had a bit of an injury. He scored against us at the end of last season when we drew 3-3 down there. And look, McKenna's got a history of getting young players in and making them better. He's done the academies when he was at Tottenham, and then he was Man United. He was on with Jose, and then he was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So he knows all about these young players. So, and when we sign him, I think it's 15 million, could go up to 20. Look, he's been to Man City. He's worked under Pep. He's been there for a long time. He's coming from a good club, and he's been well coached.
Good stock, yeah.
He's come from good stock, and a few of our fans are saying, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's about the average sort of price that we've sort of spent. That's the sort of baseline where we've spent this summer. We've spent 104 million. Bearing in mind our transfer record was Matteo Serini back in 2001. That was 4.5 million and stood for. But we knew once we get to the Premier League, we're going to have to spend, and we had to. It is a bit of a shame when you look at the squad that we've got, and the majority have got us from League One to the Championship. But now a lot of that. I looked on Sunday. There was only 4 who played last season who started that game on Sunday against Villa. So you have to be. It's ruthless. Football's ruthless. Yeah, but Liam Delap's come in. He's got 3 goals already in 6 games.
Yeah.
He don't mind the physical battle. He's good. He can run the channels. You look at his goal that he scored against Fulham. He got that ball, picked it up inside their half, drove at goal, had a shot and scored. And the goal on his second goal on Sunday. I mean, I sat on the side there, nearly directly where he picked the ball up. So we see him directly running to the goal, and I thought he's going to cut inside on his right foot and try and bend one. And he does a little dummy. That Diego Carlos, I don't know if you've seen, he's like literally done a 360 turn. He sent him right to the shots and then buried it. And he's had a great start. He plays for England under 21s. And under McKenna, if he can stay fit, which is that you all hope, don't you, when you sign players, they can stay fit. If he can stay fit for the season, I think he'll progress. How many goals if he got 10, 12 goals, I think that'd be a good return. Yeah. Man City have actually got a first refusal if they do buy him back. I think they've got a 20% sell on. So, but they're sensible, aren't they, these teams? Because they know if he can go to us and he performs as he can. Look, I know they've got Haaland, so they're not going to need him back anytime soon. But they'll obviously keep an eye on him and how he's developing. But he's quicker.
Take their 20% if you offload him.
Yeah, he's quicker than what I thought. If I'm a West Ham, if I'm Lopetegui and I'm looking at him, you've got to stop him before he gets in full flight, because he'll get that ball. Yeah. Once he's going, he's very, very difficult to shake off the ball because he's really strong. And he don't mind. I would say he's a little bit like an old school striker. He don't mind getting stuck in.
No.
and battling the centre half. But yeah, it's an exciting start so far for him.
Yeah, no, he does look the real deal, and I can't see him. I can't see him. Hopefully, I really do hope you do stay up for the next foreseeable future, and hopefully he's part of that. But I can't see, if he carries on like he is, him doing anything other than hanging around the Premier League for a little bit longer. Look, one man, Rich, who looked anything like a Premier League player when he played for us quite recently, it's Calvin Phillips. How are you treating him? How's he getting on? What are you seeing from him so far?
Well, I was in Rome, right, on holiday. It was my missus' birthday, and we were over there, and it came through on the Friday morning that we're after Calvin Phillips, and I thought, there's no chance we're getting him from Man City. He went to City from Leeds, but hardly played. Was he really fit when he went to West Ham? What was the deal there? Because he sort of struggled.
Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. He wasn't fit enough at the beginning. Moyes threw him in too early, although there were extenuating circumstances to that. That was part of the deal. Not one West Ham were particularly keen on, one more driven from Phillips' side, that he has to sort of start straight away and throw him in. And that was the undoing of him, really, because he started too early and he got absolutely, he was a bit unlucky in a couple of the things, but you talk about that narrative there. He did also make a couple of clangers and just had some bad games, looked off the pace because he hadn't been playing football for such a long time.
Yeah.
And then, the narrative built and everyone was sort of, the heat was on him, and the more mistakes he made, the worse it got, and it became a bit of a laughing stock, untenable situation. So a bit poor situation management, I think, rather than anything else. We didn't really see any signs because his confidence was just destroyed so quickly, if he had any at all, after his difficult spell at City. So do you sort of feel that, is he fit enough? Is he performing? Are you seeing things you like, or do you think he's found his level?
Yeah, obviously he came in. He did play against Liverpool because he'd only signed like literally the day before. Obviously City he couldn't play. He played against Fulham. And the first 15, 20 minutes he was sort of, you're finding your feet, you're at a new club. I wouldn't say he was hiding, but it was a little case of him sort of, just sort of getting into the game. But since then, I think he's been really good. He played away at Brighton. He had a full 90 minutes, missed the game at Southampton. He was injured. He played on Sunday for 70 minutes, and he's just got better. The thing with Calvin Phillips is he just needs to play football, Will. He's gone to Man City, and I can understand why a player would go there. You're going to go work under Pep Guardiola, but when you've got someone like Rodri in front of you, he wasn't going to play, was he? He's never going to displace him. And then even if he did play the odd game when Rodri was injured, as soon as he was fit, he'd come back in. And he picks up some medals, but when he looks at the end of his career and looks at their medals, he'll probably think, I didn't contribute anything there, did he? And he obviously went to yours. Look, I just hope he plays. He obviously is not going to play for Man City again. If he has a decent season at ours, he's sort of put himself in the shop window. And it depends if we stay up, could we afford to sign him? I don't know. But as far as Calvin Phillips goes, he just needs to get back to playing football. And look, he was decent for England in the Euros there when it was over here in 21.
There's obviously a player in there.
I'm sure he'd be fired up. I'm sure he'd be fired up for Saturday to maybe prove a little bit of a point.
Oh yeah, he'll score. He'll score 100%. He'll 100% score. Yeah, but no, I do think I agree with you. The medals, it might be a thing. He'll look at his bank balance and at the end of his career, and I don't think there'll be too many regrets on that front. But that's not everything, as we know. Rich, just what memories have you got? Very briefly, you talk about the last time we played each other there. I think more so, I'm thinking back to the playoff finals, the double in the early 2000s. And most West Ham fans will say this, particularly my age, perhaps the greatest game at Upton Park, the Matty Etherington semi-final, as most fans will know.
You've just given me goosebumps there, because I think I've been following Town away since '97, so I've been going a long time. That night at West Ham, obviously we won 1-0 at Portman Road when Darren Bent had scored. I remember Benty missing a really good chance after about 2 or 3 minutes through 1-on-1, and he stuck it wide, and then it was obviously 0-0 at half time. That's the best atmosphere, Will, as an away fan. That night, it was absolutely electric. Under the lights at Upton Park, and fantastic stadium. I love going to Upton Park. I've never been to the London Stadium, so I am looking forward to going on Saturday. But I wish I was going to Upton Park, because I think it's one of them stadiums, isn't it? you go to these grounds now, and they're all the same, aren't they? Some of these. I know it's a little bit different, the Olympic Stadium possibly, but you don't get them old school. And you'd probably, when you come to Portman Road, when you play on the
I
last
love
day of the
Portman
season,
Road, yeah.
old school feel, you know. And it might be a little bit dated in places, but I don't think you can replace that. No. But yeah, we lost that night. Obviously, Everton scored, and what was the guy who scored the second goal? It hit him right in the knackers, didn't it?
Yeah, no one ever remembers that because I just remember Matty Etherington. I think most West Ham fans probably couldn't necessarily tell you the score or what the situation was from the first leg.
What a goal though, cut in, didn't he?
Left-footed. They just remember us winning and the Matty Etherington screamer.
And then we played you the year after, didn't you? We played you on.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday lunchtime. I think we were 2-0 down really, really quickly in that game. I think Marlon Harewood might have scored one, and then we came back to 2-2. Got back to Portman Road. Thought, we've done the business there.
Yeah.
And then
night game that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Bobby Zamora scored 2-0.
Yeah.
Beat us, and you got promoted at Wembley that season, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Your knowledge of all this is far better than mine, mate. But yeah, the Matty Etherington game was just was something else. It was Marlon Harewood scored the other one in that game as well in the first minute. And then Matty Etherington, 90th minute. What a night that was, 2005. Right, what are you thinking then, Rich? What can West Ham fans expect style-wise from Ipswich on Saturday? What players should we look out for? Are you going to line up and that sort of stuff?
I think we'll be pretty much, if we don't get no injuries this week in training, I think they're probably laying unchanged from Saturday. So we play 4-2-3-1 normally. Leif Davis, he's one you should look out for. He plays a little bit different away from home. If anyone see the game on Sunday against Villa, he plays left back, but he plays really, really high at home. And we normally play with like Jack Clarke, who we signed from Sunderland, very good player. That was his full debut, first starting on Sunday's game. And we normally play the three that we play. The left-sided one plays sort of inverted. He's not a winger. He'll play inside. So we sort of play with 2 10s. And then we play a little bit lopsided because if you look at the other side, you've got Axel Tuanzebe who plays right back, and he doesn't really get forward much. Whereas Leif Davis is absolutely, he's flying on that other side. And Clark or Broadhead, who played last season on the left, they'd play inside, and you open up that space where Leif Davis can get down there. But I think, look, we'll come. We won't sit back. We'll come and try and play football because that's what McKenna sort of, since he's been here, we've been used to winning games. And that's another thing I look at now. I know we played 6 games and we've only had 2 defeats. We don't lose that many games. He only lost 10 games in 2 seasons in League One and the Championship. So even though we haven't won, we're not losing games. You're still picking up points and you're still keeping relatively positive. But look, we've got Sam Morsey in midfield. He loves the booking, Will. He's got 4 already.
Yeah, so does Edson Alvarez,
He was a little bit lucky, if I'm being honest, Sunday against Villa. He probably should have got a second yellow.
Right.
A little bit of a naughty tackle, but Stuart Atwell was the ref. I'm not quite sure how he missed it because it was sort of straight in front of him, and VAR can't get involved in them second yellows. So
second yellows, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a little... If I'm being honest, I don't really like VAR, but I think something like that, it's a second yellow, it'd been a red card when we're 2-1 down, and it changes the game. So, sure. We're happy, obviously, he didn't. But, look, we'll come, we'll play on the front foot. We play decent football. Obviously, Amari Hutchinson's another one. He plays in the 10. We signed him from Chelsea. I wouldn't say struggled so far, but he's still a young player, and he's only 20.
He's in his way in.
So you've just got to stick with these players. We're still learning because we signed 12 players in the summer. So that's where I think we benefit. Like when you're back in the Championship, you're playing games. So like Saturday, Tuesday. You don't have that time on the training ground that like in the Premier League we do. So you're getting these 3 weeks. So we've got them new players, and Kieran can get them on the training field. And we are still a work in progress, but I think we are getting better. And that was probably our best performance on Sunday against Villa, and we probably would have won that game if we give away a couple of poor goals. And if we're going to survive this season, that's what we've got to cut out. You can't keep giving teams chances.
Yeah.
When you're down the leagues and in the Championship in League One, you might make these mistakes and you might get away with it. Whereas on Sunday, I mean, Villa, that was probably, they only had 2 real good chances, and both of them ended up in the back of the net. And you just got to iron out them little defensive issues, because you don't want to be another like a Sheffield United or a Luton or a Burnley.
No.
They conceded I think Sheffield United was 101 goals or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like, just for what I've seen so far, it doesn't feel like you're shaping up for that. But listen, look, Rich, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on the We Are West Ham podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Just very briefly, before we let you go, what's the score going to be on Saturday? West Ham v Ipswich in the Premier League, 3:00 kickoff at London Stadium.
Well, I've got to be positive, haven't I? I can't come on here and say we're going to lose. I'm going to go for Town's first Premier League win for 22 years. I'm going to go West Ham 1, Town 2, and maybe Calvin Phillips with a winner.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that at all. Listen, Rich from the Suffolk Crunch there, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck, but not too much, of course, ahead of that game on Saturday. Thank you to everyone at home for listening. That is it from me and Jonesy for another week. West Ham, Ipswich, Saturday at London Stadium. If you're going, enjoy yourselves. If you're not and you're watching it on telly, try and enjoy that too, if that is indeed possible. Rich, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2-1 to Ipswich at all. I'm hoping we're going to take on our slightly better form in the second half against Brentford. And I am going to say that we will just about win. I'm going to say 2-1 to West Ham. Look, thanks everyone for listening. Follow us on socials, subscribe on YouTube at @WeAre_West Ham on Twitter, We Are West Ham Pod on Instagram. You buy us a pint at buymeacoffee.com/We Are West Ham. If you want, send us an email, wearewesthampod@gmail.com. I think that's about it. West Ham are massive. Up the hammers. Thanks for listening.